Thank you so much for joining us at this month's Crowdfunder Learn webinar. Well, we'll be looking at everything crowdfunding. So we've been joined by my wonderful colleague, Charlie, who's going to talk you through crowdfunding, what it is, the benefits to crowdfunding, and how to have a really successful campaign. We've also been joined by Izzy, who's going to talk us through some brilliant opportunities available for projects that are looking to raise money in order to have a positive impact on the environment or nature-based projects. So stay tuned to hear more about that towards the end of the session. We have allowed an hour for today's session. That does include a Q&A at the end. So do feel free to use the chat box, which you should find on the right hand of your screen. Let us know who you are, introduce yourselves, whereabouts you are in the country, the organisation that you're representing, maybe even your project idea, and do put any questions into that chat box and we'll get through as many of those as we can throughout today's session. We'll also be using the chat box to add in some links for you to have a look at. So everything we're discussing today, we'll make sure we put links to resources for those into the chat box too. We are recording today's session. Don't worry, you're not going to feature in it. We can't actually see you, so you can sit there, have a cup of tea and absorb all the wonderful content. But we do record them and we will send the recording round to you as part of a follow-up email, including some of those links to the resources and a replay for this session too. If you do find that you have any issues with your internet connection, then you should be able to press the refresh button, which you'll probably find up towards the browser bar on your device, and that should bring you straight back into the live room. We've got a really jam-packed session today, so let's get started. I'd like to introduce you to my wonderful colleague, Charlie. Charlie, are you there?
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Can you hear
me? Hi, Charlie. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry about that false start. It is live, as you can tell, everybody, and things do happen. And Charlie's going to talk you all through crowdfunding and what it involves and just how it could be of benefit to you. So I'll let you take it away. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Zoe. And thank you for everybody for joining us. So here at Crowdfunder, our purpose, we exist to tackle society's challenges by making ideas happen. So we've been around for about 10 years now, and in those 10 years, we've done some really wonderful things. So to give you a little bit of an idea, we have raised to date in those 10 years, £310 million. So lots of money for lots of different projects in need. So that's things like charities, we've had local gardens, festivals, all kinds of things. If you can think of it, it's been crowdfunded for. So we have around 300 products added every day, and we have 26 million pounds of extra funding has been raised since we have been live. So that's been distributed. So a little bit of an idea of how it works. Your first step will be to add your project to the website. So you'll have your own unique page with its own link, and you'll be able to tell your story and explain your idea to people as if you had your shop window. So it gives everyone a little peek inside as to what it is that you are planning on doing. We ask that you set a target and your funding type. So if you are looking to do keep what you raise or all or nothing, and then set your target and how long you need to reach that amount of money. Your second step will be to add any rewards and apply for any extra funding. So this is what sets us out from any other funding platforms, is that we offer both of these things. So we ask you to be creative with your rewards and reach out to your network to source a variety of them with a wide appeal. We also ask that you check out our extra funding matches and apply for any that you might be eligible for. Your third step will be to launch your project. So set it live, spread the word across your friends, professional contacts, and other people in your community. We then hope that you go on to be successful. So we mentioned a little bit about rewards crowdfunding, and it can be a little bit of a foreign concept for some people. So it is offering a benefit for some kind of return. So it would be for the financial contribution. So this would be offering things like car MOTs or a voucher for a local restaurant or anything that you're business or idea can offer. So maybe you're an art gallery and you could offer some art pieces or any tours of your building, anything that you can do that you can add some benefit for pledging to your project. So as well as the monetary raise, we do have some additional benefits to crowdfunding. So there'll be lots of things that you might not have thought about. So it'll be things like the validation of your project. So in many ways, this could be feedback, it could be positive or constructive, and it can help guide your idea and show that there is an appetite for your community to enjoy your idea. Or so it could be your business, it could be that there are new people interested in what you are doing, and it could also bring validation that your idea is good and it is wanted in your space. You can also raise some awareness for your project. So as we said, your project is your shop window, and it can help other people have a real understanding of what it is that you are aiming for and the challenge that you're undertaking. It can also create a really great buzz about your idea. So people being able to share that with their friends and family and really get excited about what it is that you're doing. So once you have kind of sent your project out to your existing audience, having this awareness can be also pushed out to other people. So it could be widening your audience. So once your core network has gotten all excited about it and shared it out to their friends and family, that creates that wider audience for you. Anybody that is pledging on your projects, your supporters, will become an advocate as well. So these people will also hopefully be sharing your project and talking about it if they've pledged. So that will help build your engaged audience that will be able to help push your message out. It also creates some really meaningful connections. So anyone that's supported your project might go on to support your project in any of its future endeavors. It can create a real big customer base for you. If you're, say, opening up a shop, you've already got some people that are ready to look inside. You've already got that kind of little loyal base of supporters that are ready to help you and your business or your idea in your next ventures. We also have noticed that people learn lots of new skills when running their crowdfunder. So it will be things like crowdfunding in itself is a skill that lots of people don't already have, and it's something that you'll learn throughout your journey with us. You'll also learn lots of transferable skills for the future. So this could be things like marketing, networking, team management, social media, and many more skills. So all of these we find are really, really helpful in one, running your crowdfunder, but also with helping with your idea in its later stages. We also have, as mentioned before, our extra funding and support. So we have access to funding from national and regional partners. We have about 70 of those, and we have around £10 million worth of funding ready to give out to eligible applications. So it's definitely great to be making connections with those potential local councils or maybe even regional or national funding partners. So our 3 steps to success. So we say it is really, really important to put a lot of time into planning your project. So we would say that you want to spend about the same amount of time planning your project as you do creating and running it. So we would say possibly around 2 to 4 weeks of real good planning. So that would be mapping out your network, building your community, and gathering all of your team that you'll need to run your project. Your second step would be creating. So telling your story on your page, making things look bright and exciting and engaging. Figuring out your awards, what you're going to offer at the start of your project. Are you going to offer things in the middle? Are you going to add some exclusive offers for people? Getting that plan together for those is really essential when creating your project. And setting your targets. So we'll talk about this a little bit later, but it will be things like working out the minimum amount that you will need to raise to be able to complete your idea and make it a success. And then are there any things that you could fund for after that? Can we add that to our stretch target? Next up is running your project. So that is when you will finally press launch, that scary go live button, and then you'll start spreading the word, connecting with your supporters, connecting with our funding partners, and really just getting the idea out there and getting funded. Okay, so we're going to talk about the first step of planning. So your network map is a really essential thing to do whilst planning your project. We say if you do nothing else, do your network map, because it's something that you'll refer to time and time again throughout your project. And it's really essential in kind of mapping out who is going to help your project and when. So we normally talk about the crowdfunding network map being a little bit like an onion. So at the center of your onion, you will have your kind of existing supporters or anybody that is closely linked to your project. So that could be yourself, your friends and family. It could be people that are also running the project with you, their friends and family. So it would be that an immediate kind of close-knit group that you already have ready to go. The next layer of that onion would be any other existing supporters. So if you are, say, a football club and you've already got some members, you would have those members pledging or maybe sharing your project, and then we would go out to the wider audiences. So those wider audiences could be things like social media. Have you joined any groups recently that you could put the word out into? Do you have a social media account that it could be posted to as well? So anything that has your kind of idea's name on would be fantastic to kind of be sending out to everybody. Next up, you'll be moving into things like emailing. Are there people that you work with regularly that you would be able to send out emails to? So say any suppliers that you use regularly, are you at venues regularly? Could you email out to them and ask them for their help? And then last up, we'll be looking at things like press and blogs. And that would be so anything along the lines of newspapers, online blogs and things like that. Anything else that you could get out to that wider community. But we suggest going to those press and blogs a lot later when you've already got that initial support from that core part of your onion. So why do people pledge on projects? So we normally think that you're split into these two groups. So they either really believe in your idea, so they are usually your kind of core linked people into your project. So people that kind of already know what you're about, know what you're doing, and are just hoping to help you and give you that little bit of help. It could also be that you share your project out and come across some kind strangers that really buy into your idea and really like the sound of it, and they just want to help you out. But we've also got that other group of people that are there for the rewards. So they are really, really helpful in kind of grabbing people into your project and giving them that incentive to pledge. So rewards, again, can be anything that add a monetary value to your project. So it's helpful to have bits and pieces that are maybe not of cost to your project, but make people feel like they're getting a real bargain or a real exclusive deal into helping your project. Next up, setting a target. So we've got a couple of do's and don'ts. So things to think about when setting your target is that it needs to be as realistic as possible. Start with the minimum amount that you need and plan to overfund. So we need to be taking into account all of the things that are going to be added up into making our idea a reality. So that could be things like the fees for Crowdfunder. That could be things like building costs or rent, any materials that are needed or any people that you need to get in to come and help you. Make sure you've got a good idea of that all tallied up before you get started. You need to lock down the key pledges that you have ahead of your live date. So it's good to have an idea of where the first 20 to 30% of your first pledges are going to come from. So getting some friends and family, seeing if they can stick on 20 quid as soon as you go live. Anybody that you can have pledging early, can you give an exclusive access to some rewards to get those initial pledges ready? Because it really helps to have that little bit of money in the pot already to show that there is interest in your idea. No one wants to sit in the empty restaurant. If there are people in there already, seeing that it's going well will encourage others to join you. So really the only don't that we have is have a huge plan without any, huge target without any plan to back it up, So try and keep your target as realistic as possible. So you need to have a good knowledge of what your community looks like its size, and maybe the time of year that you're fundraising, putting together all the kind of factors that come into fundraising and making sure that it is going to be a success, as successful as it can be. So when creating your project, I'm just going to hide myself here quickly. So when making your project page, we are looking for some very key aspects. So that would be things like your title, making sure it is clear and memorable. So making sure it's nice and snappy, gives off the idea of what you're fundraising for and who it's by. So we're also looking for a concise project aim. So we usually say that this is about a sentence or two that just gives a very quick overview of what it is that you're fundraising for, and as short as possible. As we've just mentioned, we need to have our realistic target, which will be displayed under your project aim. And as you're fundraising, the amount of money that you have will be shown there as well. If you go into your stretch target, your target will then change to show its stretch target and show that you've already funded and now you're going into additional funds. We would love for you to have an engaging, shareable video. So if you are able to, we would love to have you just even pop up your camera and just have a little chat to the camera and tell us about your project. We have some people that will read your project and we have some people that will just watch the video. So we kind of want to have the same information in both of those places. If you've got any larger than life characters or people that are well known in your community, it's great to have them involved in that video to really help tell your story. Or if your project is working with any children, obviously have a chat with the parents first and see if they can be involved in the video as well, as they're nowhere near as shy as the rest of us and they love getting that story across. They're a really helpful group of people to have when having these video discussions. So we also have an option for you to add your social media links, and that will help to build your online network. So even if people are maybe not able to pledge there and then it's really handy to have that link available so that they can go and follow you. Maybe they'll then get the updates from your project that you're putting on social media, and you'll be able to grow your crowd that way as well. So crowdfunding is not just about raising the money, it's also a little bit about marketing, boosting those social numbers as well. We do have the opportunity to add updates to your project. So updating your crowd through your journey is really, really important because it helps people feel like they're still involved in your project even after they've donated their money. It keeps everybody in for the ride and keeps everyone in the loop about what those funds are being used for or how close you are to your target. It can also inspire people to potentially donate again if they are being told how close you are to your target and they're able to spare that little bit of extra money. So we've got our good choice of rewards with varying costs. So it is very important to have the varying cost so that, you know, if you've got a cheaper option, a cheaper reward that is accessible to most people, you might get some more donations on that one. But we can have pledges from £10 up to thousands of pounds. So if you're able to offer any corporate sponsorships or things like that, those are fantastic to have at a higher price point. We also have the option to kind of customize your text. So that is adding things like subheadings, additional images to break up your text. It keeps everything really engaging, and it helps to divide up that information into bite-sized chunks. If you're scanning through your project as well, anything that is a subheading will be eye-catching. It will get people to read the rest of that sentence. They can also work as really good prompts for when you're writing. So even if you think that you're not an excellent writer and you're not sure how to get your project aims across, write down some key questions like, who are you? What are you doing? What is your impact on the community? And have those as your questions, as your subheadings, to then write the rest of your project. We then suggest having a clear breakdown of cost. If people think that their funds are going to specific things and things feel tangible, they feel achievable, then they are more likely to pledge. So it's great to have that breakdown nice and clear and concise on your page. Okay, we also have how to apply for extra funding. So it's really straightforward to apply for extra funding through your project page. So on our third section of your project page, we have our extra funding tab. So please make sure that you do tick that box that allows us to show your project details with our funding partners so that they can explore whether your idea fits for them. So if you don't tick this one, then you're not as available to other partners and for our computer to be able to match you with those extra funding partners. It just helps us share your information over that you're putting onto this page. So we have lots of different sections on there, but try and fill it out as extensively as you can and try and think about all of the aspects that your idea will be helping or will be addressing. So if your project is mainly around older people, but it does have the opportunity to engage younger people and adults, make sure you tick those boxes as well, because you never know what funding could be available for you by keeping things as broad as you can. After that, our clever computer will kind of spit out the ones that you have been matched with. So it will give you a brief overview as to what the fund is looking for, and then you'll have the option to apply for that funding or to remove it if you don't think you're eligible. However, it is worth applying for whatever you can, as you never know what you could be accepted for. You are also able to stack up your extra funding, so you can apply for as many as you like. You can apply for them all if you want to. There is no limit as to how many you can have at the same time. Okay, running your project. So when you're running your project, everybody can help you. So everyone has a potential role to play in a crowdfunding campaign, and the project owner their role is to find out what that contribution can be. So that could be things like just sharing the project. It could be on their socials. It could be through any email links that they've got. They could be sending things out to their own groups to help you. You might be able to ask them to offer a reward. So it's worth sending out an email that asks people for these three things, giving them the option of what they can do to help you. So if they're able to offer a reward, it could be in conjunction with maybe offering a sponsorship. It could be them offering a meal in their restaurant. It really can be anything. So anything that they can spare to help you is always really, really helpful. And additionally, they can make a pledge as well. Not many places will be in the position to give you the money, so that is why it's really important to offer the other two options as well of how they can help you. We have our project dashboard. So while running your project, you will be able to track so many important things. So you'll be able to track what times of day are really busy for your project page. You can track where things have come from. If you pop a trackable link, say, into your social media posts, you'll be able to see where those pledges have come from. You'll also be able to download supporter details, which will help you with building marketing lists, being able to help you with distribution of your rewards. And you'll also be able to change things like your project deadline, downloading gift aid reports. You can close early if you need to, and you can always switch to always on as well. So lots of different things in that helpful dashboard. So next up, I am going to call to the stage our good friend Izzy, who is going to talk you through a little bit about some extra funding partners. Hi Izzy, how are you doing?
Hi Charlie, I'm good, thank you.
Perfect.
Hi everyone, my name's Izzy and I work with our extra funding partners here at Crowdfunder. And our aim is to bring together projects that matter and partners who care. So you can get extra funding for a variety of primarily not-for-profit causes, but at the moment, we're shining a light on environmental good causes. So a few years ago, climate change was the hot topic. But then COVID happened and now we're in a cost of living crisis. And so environmental causes have taken a little bit of a back seat. So we want to try and pass on some extra love to nature projects. And to do this, we've got hundreds of thousands of pounds of extra funding from our partners who are sharing our passion and want to support our planet. And one project can get over £85,000 in funding for their eco cause. So in national funding, we've got our Save Our Wild Isles Community Fund from Aviva, WWF and RSPB. And this fund is specifically for nature projects who can get up to £15,000, plus you get a £500 bonus as soon as you go live. And nationally, our funding from the Aviva Community Fund, the British Airways Community Fund and the Mortgage Advice Foundation are also on the lookout for great nature causes. From all of our national partners, altogether, you can get up to £85,000. And as Charlie said earlier, you can absolutely apply for all of them. We see loads of projects benefit from multiple partner funds, and they can triple or quadruple the pledges from the crowd. And as well as our national funds, we've also got lots of local funding as well. They're all aiming to support nature projects. So if you're in Fife, Salford, East Sussex, Hertfordshire, Lambeth, Plymouth, Portsmouth or Cornwall, then you can get even more extra funding from our local partners. And a lot of these funds, they're not nature specific, and they do cover lots of different topics, such as community engagement, financial well-being, increasing opportunities for disadvantaged people. There are loads of different things that you can get extra funding for. So even if you're not a nature project, we've still got thousands of pounds available for lots of different causes. And we've got thousands and thousands of projects on our platform, including nature projects who are already changing the world and getting an extra boost thanks to our partners. So if you're building bird boxes or planting trees or helping to connect people with nature, then just head over to our website or have a look on your dashboard when you sign up and click on extra funding, and you'll be able to find out more about all of our fantastic funds available.
Thank you, Izzy. Yes, we've got so many environmental projects and funds on the page at the moment, so it's really worth going to check some of those out. Okay, so our next bits are learning and support. So we provide help through our webinar sessions and drop-ins. So we have drop-ins on a Tuesday morning for an hour, and you can come and chat to me and Zoe about anything that is concerning you about your crowdfunder project. Even if you don't have any direct questions, you are welcome to come and join those and just listen to the conversations and kind of get some inspiration from other people who are in the same boat as you. We've also got other webinar sessions that you are welcome to join, and we suggest joining as many as you can and soak up as much information as possible. We have our online learning and guides, which are available on the website through our Knowledge Hub, and they are full of some fantastic tips and tricks for all of the aspects of crowdfunding, right from planning your project right through to running and its completion. So make sure you go and check those out and have a good read. We also have some tailored email advice. So some of you may have already had some emails from Crowdfunder from when you've signed up to create a project. If you haven't already, then go and create a project, go and have a feel about of the website, and you might just get some tailored advice through that way. We have our fantastic customer support team who are working tirelessly all the time to get through to all of your questions. However, they do get a bit busy sometimes, so your emails can take up to 2 days to be answered, but please do be patient because it is well worth asking. We have our fantastic help centre in the meantime if you're not able to get your question answered right away. Most things are addressed on the help centre, but if there are anything specific that you do need to ask, make sure that you ask those customer support people, and Zoe will pop their email address into the chat box for you now. And as I've mentioned before, we do have our live project dashboard as well. So that will answer quite a few questions that you've got. It will help you with any data queries and anything about reporting and downloads. Okay, we've come into our Q&A session. So if you haven't already, then do pop your questions into the chat box for us and we will get round to as many as we can. We've got lots of time, and I'll welcome back Zoe and Izzy, if you guys are there. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you.
We have had a few questions coming in actually. So I've just put a little message into the chat box as well. If anybody does have any questions, now's the time. Please do put them into the chat box. We've got a lovely amount of time left to get through as many as we can. So first off, we've had a question from Rachel. Charlie, this one's probably more for you. What is the difference between crowdfunding, just giving, and local giving?
Oh, I've not come across local giving all very much, so I don't think I'll quite be able to comment. So as I mentioned earlier in the webinars, we've got both of our rewards being able to be offered and our connection to extra funding partners. So those are our real big draw-ins. We've also got lots more content online of help content. We offer the webinars, we offer the drop-in sessions. So you're really able to get more tailored service from us because we have our real people here to help you, such as me and Zoe. So I think that those are the main bigger differences. Can you guys think of any?
I think you covered it. I think just to add that the principle, I guess, is the same in the sense that you're going out and raising money from those around you. And there's just different platforms that offer different ways in which you can do that. And as Charlie said, Crowdfunder UK has got all those lovely additional benefits that you can tap into as well. Okay, question in from Cleopatra. Are you mainly business orientated, or can I apply for funds for feature films that cover topical issues, surrogacy, topical issues that are going on within the current, climate in terms of what's been seen in the news and all sorts of things like that? So topical feature films.
Yes. So anybody can crowdfund for anything really, as long as it's not illegal, or you can pretty much crowdfund for everything. So if we've got funds on the site that you think you'll be eligible for, that are for feature films and things like that, you are more than welcome to apply for them. You can have a look through our extra funding page, which I'm sure Zoe's put a link in for. Have a quick little look through those, see what you can apply for. But if not, do carry on with your crowdfunding journey, because you never know what interest you can attract whilst you're doing it. So definitely worth crowdfunding for.
Sure. Maybe have a little look and see if there's any other films that have crowdfunded that are on a similar line. You can always search for different projects on our website.
We've definitely had quite a few. We do have a repeat, a gentleman called Chris, who does all of his horror films. He's got a collection of horror films now that have all been crowdfunded for, and I think we're up to film number 5. So he's done quite well.
Amazing, thank you. Just a question about regular giving, so regular donations. Is that available for all crowdfunding projects, do we know? We've got somebody here, they actually have a current live project and they don't seem to have the option for regular giving. It might be the way they've set up their project. Maybe it's a support question.
Yes, so I think potentially the only way that you wouldn't have the regular donations option is if you were running a personal fundraiser. It would be worth dropping our customer support team a message, say that that's what you're looking at offering, and they should be able to change it in the back end for you. So yeah, if you can't do it on your dashboard, then drop them a message and they'll be able to give you a hand.
Wonderful, thank you. We've got a question here from Kieran, just wanting to go back over how the project actually gets funded.
Yeah, so really we're looking at you to put your project live onto the site. You will have your project link, and it is really you sending out that project link to your prospective supporters. So that will be you sending out that link to your core network, as I said, in your network map, seeing who can help you in that phase, and then sending it out to as many people as you can, having a chat with people, directing them to your Crowdfunder page. Any way that you would regularly be speaking to people, drop it into those conversations, pop it into your email signature. Any way that you can to draw attention to it will be how you get funded. Anything to add to that, Zoe?
No, I just guess, the technicalities, essentially they're making a donation, a digital donation via their credit or debit card, essentially onto your digital live crowdfunding page. And you'll be able to see all of that in the back of your admin of your page in real time. And then once you close successfully, you'll receive that payout within around 7 days. So when you're planning, you can have a nice idea of when you'll actually receive that money to be able to put that project into action. We've had another question come through from Joe. Is crowdfunding a good way of building an email list?
Yes, it can be. Izzy, are you able to help a little bit with this?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so it's a great way to reach new networks. So as Charlie said, if you start off with your existing networks, then you can move on and you can start reaching new people. And then it's sort of like you start building a customer base through your project. So absolutely, it's a really good way to build an email list.
Yeah, so the kind of technical side of building that list will be after your supporters have donated, they are usually asked if they would like to be kept in the loop with things that you're up to. So if they would like to be added to any of those marketing lists. And when you download your supporters download, maybe towards the end of your project, there'll be a column which says yes or no if they have agreed to those marketing preferences. So from that, you'll be able to pull directly the people that have said yes to keeping in touch about your project. So that kind of helps with the whole GDPR kind of side of things, that it just keeps you safe in the knowledge that you are contacting the people that wish to be contacted.
Brilliant, thank you. Another question here, is there an option to send automated thank you emails when supporters donate?
So supporters do get a thank you note, but they are unable to be edited at this point. So they do get a very nice congratulatory thank you email, and it gives them a little bit of information about their pledge, and it's kind of a receipt. But a good way to keep in touch with your supporters and say thank you is posting updates. So updates are really great at explaining further about your story and the journey as you go through your crowdfunding campaign, but it's also great to say thank you to people. So if you've had a big day of supporters or you've had lots of people pledge, it's great to post an update and say thank you so much for all of those donations. And those are also, you're able to read those back on your project page, so they are available for everybody to look at as well.
Thank you, Charlie. This one from Vicky, this is quite a specific question, but it'd be quite nice to just talk a little bit about what a charity profile is, because it's quite a nice option, isn't it, on our platform. So this is from Vicky. Hello, we've set up a charity profile, which once completed and become live, we would like to set up a specific project too. Can we just add that to our profile, as I haven't promoted it until we do this?
Yes, you can definitely do that. So charity profiles kind of work in the sense that you have one landing page that has all of the information about your charity kind of directly and what they do all together. And then you can have separate projects that run off of that are linked to your profile. So when you've created your profile and it's gone live, you're able to go to its dashboard, and there's a little button that says at the top that says My Charity. And on that page, you are able to add a project from there that is directly linked, and it will give you a little notification that says, hey, you just added another project here, which is nice, you know, that everything's all linked up. And then from that, you can focus on very direct parts of your charity. So if you are looking to do a specific fundraiser, then you are able to do that in a separate project that allows you to put just that little bit more information in about what you are fundraising for in that instance. So it's a really great way to have, you know, one place that people can just go in and donate, but also good to have somewhere else that can be kind of divided up into specific points of attention for your charity. Anything else to add from you guys?
Just that we see a lot of charities. If people want to have a look at the charity section of our website, they'll see all sorts of different charities, big national charities through to tiny grassroots local charities, and it can be a really lovely way to keep all of that admin together. So you've got that wonderful umbrella, if you like, of your charity profile, and then you can have lots of little projects as and when you feel the need to raise money for a targeted purpose, and then you can kind of keep them all together and manage all of that from one charity hub, which is really lovely. Izzy, did you have anything to add on that one?
Only just to say that if you are raising funds through your general charity profile, those funds are unrestricted, which is really helpful for a lot of charities because it's obviously really difficult to raise unrestricted funds. So that was a really good way to get some money that you can use for whatever you want.
Yeah, so on that, your charity profile won't have an end date as much other projects will. So it's a way of keeping that indefinite funding going. And, you know, sky's the limit. There's no cap on how much you can raise on that project. And it also gives you the opportunity to have multipliers of your project. So if you have people that want to fundraise on your behalf, then they are able to do that for you. So people can kind of have your details there straight away so that their funds can go straight to your bank account. So it makes that whole having fundraisers for your project much, much easier.
Thank you very much. This is a really interesting one from Javier about languages. Can you have 2 languages in the same campaign?
Yeah, I've seen lots of projects that will start off with their kind of I don't want to say dominant language, but whatever language you'll be sending out to your supporters in first, and you can have the project in that just to start with, and then you go further down to the story and have, say, the English version of that underneath. So we don't have the option to kind of change the features on the website into a different language, but you are welcome to write your project in whichever language you choose.
Thank you very much. Just a follow-up question on the charity profiles from Vicky, wondering whether if they set up a project, is it a better idea to send a link to people of the charity profile or the individual project?
Well, that depends on where you would like those funds to go. So if you are fundraising for something specifically and you have your specific project page set up and that's where you want your funds to go for now, then send them the direct link. So all of those additional projects can be subject to extra funding as well. So you can apply for all of those things. If they pledge on the normal, your normal charity page, that may not count towards any of those things. So it would be a shame to have that fund go to the wrong project. So yeah, try and direct them to wherever it is you want that pledge to go. So if you did just want to have those 2 things running at the same time and still wanted somebody to go to the charity page, then send them that link and that's where you want them to pledge. So yeah, wherever you want them to go, that's where to send them.
Thank you, Charlie. This one in from Olga, just asking, we've talked a lot about charities. Is it only for charities or can community interest companies? We know that we've been talking about charity profiles and we've probably kind of had a bit of a focus on that. But when it comes to overall crowdfunding, it's very open to every single type of organisation, isn't it? And extra funding as well is very focused on not-for-profit organisations. So a community interest company could well be eligible, social enterprise. It's always worth checking all of the different T's and C's. But if you are set up in a not-for-profit way, extra funding will no doubt be somewhere you want to look. But when it comes to crowdfunding, would either of you want to dip into that one?
If you wanted to have a charity profile-esque thing, if you wanted just one page for people to come and donate to, you can have just a normal project and it move on to always on. So always on means that once you've reached your initial end date, the funds raised to that date will be sent to you in one lump sum, and it means your project has technically closed. However, you are still able to accept donations after this, which are then sent to you on a rolling basis instead. So if you needed somewhere to keep open a kind of general portal for donations, you are welcome to do that with just a normal project. Izzy, anything to add? No, I think that's all good.
We've had a few questions coming in about wanting to speak to people in more detail about their particular projects. So I would recommend using the link that we've put into the chat box, and we will put it into the follow-up email as well, to actually book into one of our drop-in sessions, where essentially it is a virtual face-to-face. They're held via Zoom, and you'll be in a small group session with some other project owners as well. And it's a brilliant peer-to-peer support, as well as hearing from kind of the Crowdfunder team, and you can ask any questions throughout those specifically about your particular crowdfunder. Even if you're at the early stages and just want to get a little bit more information, do feel free to book onto those. I think we've pretty much covered actually all of the questions that have come through. Javier, if you wanted to put your question in again about the rewards and the crowd, just to clarify that question for us, we can try and answer that one for you before we close up for the day. And we have got a few more minutes, so do feel free to add in some more in there. Izzy or Charlie, if you have anything you wanted to add while we wait for a few more questions to come through, anything that springs to mind that's worth sharing.
Yeah, I do see one from Kieran, which I think we said earlier about getting funded. I think his question was, how is Crowdfunder funded? Which is worth touching on, because obviously we've got to keep the lights on. We've got to be able to put on these wonderful webinar sessions. So we do charge some fees on your project. So it's definitely worth having a look at that fees page if Zoe's able to pop it into the chat box now, just to make sure that when you're looking at setting your target, you have taken these fees into consideration. So they range from they're up to 5% of your project raise, and then there are some transaction fees on there as well. But the good thing about Crowdfunder is that if you were to be unsuccessful and you were to receive no funds, then you are not charged any fees. We skim these off the top of whatever it is that you have raised. So kind of a no-win, no-fee kind of structure. And any extra funding as well does have, they do have slightly different charges. They do have different fees. So it's worth, if you are successful for those applications, just double checking what that is before you go live. And they'll all be found in the terms and conditions as well.
Brilliant. Thank you, Charlie.
No problem.
It might be my interpretation of the question, so I'm going to read it and see how it lands with you, Charlie, and you, Izzy. So, can we crowdfund the crowd by offering support to others that want to be rewarded? So my interpretation is raising money from the crowd in order to help others. So I'm thinking the get rewarded, I'm not 100% on that one, Javier. So if you wouldn't mind putting something into the chat again.
I think the only thing I can think from that is that maybe if your supporters are then rewarded after your project, so something in the way of some kind of investment or payback. That is worth mentioning that on Crowdfunder, we are not able to offer any investment rewards. So all of your rewards should be something that they pay for one time in their donation, and they receive either a thank you or a physical thing back for their money. So we cannot accept any kind of investments. Say if they were to pledge £50 now, and when the business is successful, they get 500 back. That's not allowed on our site. However, we do have some friends like Crowdcube who are there for things like that. So sadly not here.
What we do see often, and this can happen sometimes through charities especially, is if they're working with individuals and they know how much it would cost to support a particular individual through a process of a project delivery, one of their rewards might be to sponsor that participant. So actually they're not getting anything back, but they're getting a lovely feeling, a kind fuzzy feeling of what they're doing with their money is going to a good cause. And actually the charity or the not-for-profit organisation is able to support that individual throughout the whole process of whatever that project delivery might be. So there are lots of different ways you can list rewards. Okay. I think, Vicky, from what Charlie was saying with the charity profiles, I think if you've got a particular project in mind, as Charlie said earlier, and you want the money to go towards that tangible outcome of the project, then definitely share the link to your project specifically. Okay. In terms of, just one last question from me, Charlie, just to see, in terms of using those different channels of marketing, I know we sometimes deal with people who are crowdfunding who think, right, I'm going to launch my project and I'm just going to start shouting about it. I'm going to tell everybody in my email list about it. I'm going to put loads of socials out. Is it a good idea to think big and kind of treat everybody the same, or would it be a better idea to think about your different audiences and maybe how to interact with them on more of a personal level?
Yeah, so where we've spoken about our network map, this is where it's really essential to be able to refer back to. So however you would normally be talking to your supporters is how you should talk to them when you are asking for them to visit your page. So if you were to normally be sending out a maybe monthly email to a maybe a mailing list or people that are involved in your idea, that would be how you would reach out to them. If you would normally speak to them on the phone, then you would maybe try and drop it into conversation whilst on the phone. So trying to keep those communication channels as normal as they can be, but just adding that extra little bit of information of your project. And it would be worth, like I've said, starting with that inner network, starting small, starting with those people, and then moving out. So as your project is developing, that's when you are hitting those different people. So some people you'll be talking to a bit later into your project, which is absolutely fine because it gives them a bit more time to have a better base of pledges onto that project so that they want to donate to you. And yeah, like Zoe said, it was keep things in its normal place. So however you would normally talk to them, definitely do that. But we have noticed that things that are really effective are things like countdowns on social media. So could you post about your last 10 days of being live? Could you put that on an Instagram story, or could you be posting that on Facebook? Those are really helpful. Izzy, do you know of any other like good ways of pushing that idea?
I think definitely don't underestimate the power of word of mouth. We find that especially with the smaller, more community grassroots projects, that it's actually people within your community, if they get excited about your project, they'll start talking about it with their neighbours or down the local shop. So definitely don't underestimate that power as well.
Yeah, we do have the option as well of QR codes. So once your project has gone live, you can download your QR code from your dashboard, and just making up a simple poster and popping those in local shops, any like kind of youth groups, or even pubs as well, anywhere that has a bit of a notice board. Lots of people have smartphones these days, and it's nice and easy to scan that QR code, and then you're taken straight to your project as well. So if you can create a nice little eye-catching poster that gives a little bit of information about what you're doing and then leads them to the project for a further explanation, that's definitely worth doing as well. And they can be used at any in-person events that you use as well. So if you say are traveling around as if you do workshops or things like that, could you take a little sign with you, a little A-frame that has that QR code on it so that it's kind of with you all the time? They're really helpful.
Really great ideas, thank you. This just clarification from Javier, essentially asking, say a reward is £100 and someone could only contribute £25 towards that. Could they ask members of the crowd to top up their contribution in order to get the wanted reward? The simple answer to that one is it needs to be done in a transaction. So absolutely, if they wanted people to club together to put donations together in order to claim that reward, that's absolutely fine. It would all need to be done kind of beforehand. So monies would need to change hands, and it would need to be one card transaction that claimed that reward. We often have found people doing similar things. I remember working with lots of creatives in Scotland earlier this year, and one of the rewards on this wonderful musician's page was that he would do an in-person concert it was a few £100. I think it was maybe £250, and he'd come and do an acoustic set. And actually a local village got together and they all chipped in and they paid as one transaction, but it was the local village brought him to the local village hall to perform an acoustic set. So there was a good number of different people that had rallied around together, all put in £10 or so one person's bank account, and then they could claim that reward on behalf of the whole village. So yes, it's doable, but logistics wise, it still needs to be one transaction. We just had one final question in from Rachel, which is always an interesting one. What is the largest amount that somebody has raised on Crowdfunder? And it's quite hard to say, isn't it? But
it is. It is, yeah. So, I mean, this year we had Glastonbury. We're raffling off 2 VIP tickets as a prize draw for, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think it was for Turkey and Syria refugees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they raised over £1 million for that one, and that was just on one project. We've also had Park Lane Stables, who were looking for a new home for their stables, and they raised over £1 million as well. So you can raise some real big numbers. But recently we have had a community shop, is it Hisby? How it should be shop, recently raised £106,000. So that's like a more achievable kind of sounding target than £1 million that they've done. They're just a small community group, and they have been able to raise some serious money. So definitely a very aspirational project. But you can have a look on the Explore page and have a look through and see things that are like your idea or like your business or like your organization, and type in some keywords and just see what else comes up. And you can see how people have done it before, how much they've raised, what area they were in, and just what their project looks like. And can you take any inspiration from them?
Absolutely. I guess the key thing is it all comes down to what you need. What is the amount that you need to get your project off the ground? You'll see all sorts of different raises, from a few £100s through to millions of pounds. Ultimately, just try and focus on what it is that you need to raise to get your idea off the ground, but do take inspiration from those that come before you, definitely.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. I think that is everybody's questions. There's some brilliant questions there. Thank you, everybody, for those. I will put the link to the Learn platform into the chat box. Charlie, if you wanted to do the last slide.
Yes, of course. So I'm just going to hide myself here just so you can see those links. So our next steps for you. So as we've just suggested, we would definitely say to have a look through the Explore page, see who's come before you, what have they done successfully, what would you change, and put that into action on your project page. Have a look at our extra funding opportunities, which the link is also in the chat box as well from Zoe, and just have a look, see what is available in your area or what you could be eligible for. And then have a look through our Crowdfunder Learn platform. So we've got some really helpful quizzes and they go through all of the information that you'll need, right from planning your project to running it to its completion. So lots of helpful information on that one. And then if you post anything on socials about your project, then do tag us in those, because we love to share them and we love to see what you guys are up to. But other than that, it is a goodbye from us, and thank you very much for coming. Have a lovely afternoon. Bye.